Hello and welcome to the Box Score Network preview show, NFL Week 13. Thank you all so much for joining us here on YouTube. I am Simon. We have Parker, we have Austin, we have Ben here. Full cast for the first time in a few weeks. So thank you all for joining. We are going to take you through our game of the week. We're going to make all of our picks for the week, and we are going to hit our favorite bets for the week. It is Thanksgiving week. Obviously, we're not talking about the four games between Thanksgiving and Black Friday, but hope everyone enjoyed. Hope everyone made the right picks, won their bets, and had some great plates. But let's look ahead to Sunday's slate of games. And we're going to start with our game of the week. We have Eagles at Ravens. Baltimore is favored by 2.5 at home. Some injury updates. Darius Slay is out for Philadelphia with a concussion. Devonta Smith is questionable as well. And for Baltimore, Kyle Van Noy is doubtful to play in this one. Ben, when you're looking at Eagles Ravens, our game of the week, what are you looking at?
It's tight and it's fun. It is the game of the week. I mean, you got two heavy hitters coming in here. In a tight one, I'm going to pick the Eagles here. I like them a little bit better in this game. We watched Baltimore last week take care of a Chargers team that I suspected was limited, and I felt like that game against the Ravens kind of showed the limitations of the Chargers. The Eagles don't have any of those limitations other than just the couple of injuries that you mentioned. The Eagles are balanced between run and pass. The Eagles can play tough bully ball. The Eagles can play defense. Yes, you can get to that secondary, but that's not easy. They're doing a great job at the linebacker level, both in run coverage and in pass coverage. And that defensive line is getting after it, playing not only aggressive football, but disciplined football. So they'll be good enough to hopefully, in theory, if anybody can do it, contain Lamar a little bit, not let him get all wild and crazy on a lot of the stretch stuff he likes to do. So in a tight one, give me the Eagles.
Parker, what are you thinking?
Just typed my answer into the doc and thought about changing my mind. This is definitely like well-deserving game of the week. Both these teams are in full stride. True contenders. Like if this is a Super Bowl at the end of the year, I'm not surprised. So this is
Yeah.
definitely a rough one for me. I'm gonna stick on the Eagles side. I'm just leaning their way. I talked a lot about this with Peyton, especially because we saw each other throughout the week. And this one we were both just stuck on, man. And it's like, I just think if there was one team not to show up, the Ravens have done that more than the Eagles this season. Not necessarily last year's slump with the Eagles, but this year so far. So I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. I don't know, man. This was tough.
Austin, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Devontae Smith being questionable is tough. I think that would swing the vote for me if he was out, but I am going to count on him playing, I think, and I'm going to go Eagles. The Eagles to me have looked like the best team in football, I'm not going to lie, over the last handful of weeks, especially with the way Saquon Barkley's playing. The defense is playing great. Potential defensive rookie of the year in that secondary, plus and a whole host of other good players. So I'm gonna take the Eagles in a close one, especially assuming Devontae Smith is out there playing.
Well, guys, it's not the four horsemen for us on this first pick, which is still by far our best record. We'll get into that in a little bit. I'm leaning Ravens in this one. Baltimore is the number one offense in the NFL by DVOA. In fact, they are doubling up number two ranked Detroit in that metric. Um, they are dominating in the air and on the ground, and Philly's defense has been much, much improved. They're up to fifth in DVOA right now, but they have been beating up on bad teams as they should. And don't get me wrong, they have some really great games. 17 points to the against the Bengals in week 8 allowed. The Commanders just 18 points a couple weeks ago in week 11. But for the most part, on this ridiculous hot streak, which I'm not discrediting the Eagles, I'm just trying to draw a difference between the Ravens and who they've been playing. They're playing the Rams, the Cowboys, the Jags, the Giants, the Browns, along with the Bengals and Commanders, as I mentioned. And this is just going to be a different test. So it's going to be a great one. I think Philly's going to have their toughest opponent from a run defense perspective as well. The Ravens are eighth in run defense DVOA and second in EPA per rush allowed. And that Eagles offense is still powered by their run game between Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, who's much better running, much more effective on the ground this season than he was last year. And then they're counting on, their deep shots to AJ Brown, which they're gonna get they're gonna get a couple of those. There's no doubt about it. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Brown goes for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. But Baltimore's been giving up explosive pass plays all year long, and it has not stopped them. The only time Baltimore has looked like a lesser offense than they've proven to be throughout the season is when they're playing the other ugly AFC North opponents. So a Cleveland game and the Pittsburgh game, and then obviously those first 2 weeks of the year against the Raiders and Chiefs. But for the most part, other good defenses like the Chargers, like Ben mentioned last week. I mean, they're and the Broncos a few weeks ago, they're doing what they want on offense. So I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a great game. But I think Baltimore is going to be able to come up with the defensive stops they need against the run attack by Philly. And I think they're going to be able to do what they want on offense. So we have somebody going the other way there on our very first game that we're talking about. So let's get into our picks analysis here. Give everybody an update. The Four Horsemen, whenever we're all on the same game, all on the same side, 68 and 23 on the season, set an almost 75% hit rate on that. So obviously that does not bode well for me and my pick for the Ravens here so far. The best bet, if someone's going to go solo here, is you take your pick based on volume shooter versus low volume shooter here. Ben is 4-3 when he goes on his own, but Austin is 10-9 when he's out on his own. Best pairings is now officially me and Ben 6-3 when we're together versus Austin and Parker, but Austin and Ben are still right there as well, 5-3 when they are on the same side. So let's go ahead and get into the rest of our picks for the games. We're going to start with Steelers at Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 3. Alex Highsmith is doubtful for the game for Pittsburgh, and Logan Wilson is questionable after not practicing all week with a knee injury. Austin, where are you leaning on this one?
I'm going Bengals. It's time. It's been time. They've been looking better, but it's time for them to hit their stride. I think this is the game that catapults them moving forward.
Ben?
I've got the Steelers in this game. Got the wild bunch of Cincinnati. They're going to throw the football all over the field. They will hit some of those. But this Steelers defense, dadgummit, you've got this defensive line. Even without Highsmith, tremendous defensive line. They will be in Burrow's face all day against this lousy Cincinnati offensive line. So give me the Steelers.
Parker?
I'm going to take the Bengals. A lot of for the same reason I took the Lions the last few weeks. It's just their offense is averaging like 37 points a game. Like really hard to beat, especially with Pittsburgh's offense that hasn't been as good as it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm just going to take Joe Burrow and the Bengals to just outscore the Steelers rather than beat them in like power football or in a close one, really.
I think this game gets dragged down to the muck. That favors the Steelers, and I don't. Pittsburgh with 10 days stewing off of that terrible loss to the Browns Thursday Night Football last week. I think they're going to come out hot for this one. Colts at Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 2.5. Colts are missing Josh Downs, Tanner Bortolini, and Braden Smith for this one. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, so this is your young guns game of the week, man. I mean, Anthony Richardson, Drake May. I mean, this is going to be fun, and we didn't necessarily know if May would be playing at this point in the season when the season started. So, give me the Colts in this game. It should be a tight one there. I'll be interested to see how the Colts handle the cold. That will be interesting. Should be a weird game too. Defenses are not great here, and yet you have these young quarterbacks. So, it should be kind of a weird game as well.
Parker?
Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots in this one. Strictly based off pretty much strictly based off defense and turnovers. I just feel like Anthony Richardson's a little more inconsistent, a little more turnover prone, I guess you could say, versus Drake May. Drake May has looked a lot safer with the football, in my opinion, as far as like a pocket passer standpoint goes. So I'm going to take the Patriots.
I'm going Colts, or I'm going, oh, Freudian slip. That doesn't bode well. I'm going Patriots in this one. Those offensive line injuries for the Colts are not great for me. Bernard Raymond, left tackle, his first game back. No Braden Smith. Tanner Bortolini was already the second string center, so they're going to go with maybe Danny Pinter in this one, playing center. And this Patriots defense is not what it was last year, but I think they're going to be able to at least win the battle up front in the trenches, and I think that's going to maybe hurt the Colts run game a little bit, maybe gets to Richardson a bit, but I think more just about dominating the line of scrimmage. I think the Patriots D line is going to be able to do that in this one. Austin, what do you got here?
All right, yeah, I've made my decision, and I don't think Ben's gone solo enough this year. Um, Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren. Yeah, I'm gonna force him out on the ledge by himself this week. I'm going Patriots with you two.
Austin's just making a play to take first place in the solo picks. I like what I'm seeing here. I like what I'm
Close.
seeing here. This is a good point to actually state that Ben is still in first in picks overall, 112 and 54. Austin is in second, 109.57. I'm still closing in 108 and 58, and Parker is 99 and 67. Next game up, we have the Chargers at the Falcons. The Chargers are currently favored by one. Hold your breath here for a little injury update. The Chargers are going to be without J.K. Dobbins, who went on IR today. Their defense is also banged up. Denzel Perryman is still out. Cam Hart is still out. Aloy Gilman is now out this week as well. And Dayon Henley is questionable with a calf injury. For Atlanta, kicker Younghoe Koo is questionable with a hip injury. So let's see, Parker, what do you got here? Chargers at Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Falcons. The Falcons have been one of those teams that's just like shows up big one week, doesn't show up the next week. Shows up big one week, doesn't show up the next week. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they didn't show up last game, so it's their turn to show up this week. So I'm just gonna take that side of the fence and hope that they land on that side of the fence with me.
Parker taking a true better's perspective this week. I like what I'm hearing. Austin, what do you got here?
Yeah, I'm with Parker on this one. On the Falcons side, uh, yeah, like you said, this offense tends to show up and then not show up, and the Chargers have been, in my opinion, the best defense in football all year. But this Falcons just have a different offensive capability than like most other in the NFL do. I think, in my opinion, it's only the Falcons, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Lions who have like potential firepower at this capability. Now, the Falcons are the least likely to show up of those bunch, but they can show up. And yeah, I think they do this week.
Ben.
I'm going to pick the Chargers in this game. The Dobbins injury is a big one. It does worry me. Them with Dobbins, them without Dobbins seems to be a pretty big difference in their running game. That being said, I'll still take the Chargers. Having watched the Falcons over the past month, I really, really do not like the way this team is playing football right now. I'm completely unimpressed over the past month with the Falcons. Also, Kirk Cousins has been taking advantage of a lot of linebacker type seam areas for a lot of his yardage this year. The Chargers are just not going to give up a lot of that over the middle in this game. So, in a tight one, give me the Chargers.
Yeah, we're talking about, a team that's up and down, inconsistent, going up against this Chargers team with Jim Harbaugh coaching right after a loss. I'm going to take the Chargers all day as a professional football team. By the way, Justin Herbert against zero pass rush. Yeah, I'm going to look for him to light it up, even if the Falcons are scoring as well. Seahawks at Jets. Seattle is favored by one. Ben, what do you got here?
I'm completely torn on this one, man, and I'm not even trying to disrespect Seattle here. I'm picking the Jets. I know I'm on an island here because I can already see it on the board, and I'm not totally comfortable with that at all. But I'm picking the Jets simply because they haven't quit playing. As ugly as they've looked, as sick as the organization is, as bad as it's been in the building, as much as Aaron sometimes looks like he just doesn't care, the team is still playing. They had the one blowout loss to Arizona, but you look at them over the past 5, 6 weeks, they're still playing. They're still in most of these games. So you look at them, offense and defense EPA, they're still about 18th in both categories. So they're still producing. And being at home, I'll take the Jets here, and it's a tight one.
Austin.
I'm going Seahawks. The Seahawks have legitimately been one of the best teams on the road, surprisingly, this year, which is crazy for that home field advantage they have. But they are much better on the road than they are at home. And the Jets are not good at home either. So I think I'm going to take the road team here. No matter which stadium it is, I'm taking the road team. And this one just happens to be at the Jets. So I'm going Seahawks.
Parker.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Seahawks as well. Simple math for me. Jets and Cardinals played 2 weeks ago. Cardinals beat them 31-6. Seahawks just beat Cardinals 16-6. So Seahawks are 30 something points better than Jets. So I take Seahawks.
A little transitive property. Is that what we're doing here? Just
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
prop,
No,
prop.
not literally 30 something points better. I'm just kidding. But I'm going to take the Seahawks here. They're just playing better football. I think that the morale in New York is just all over the place.
Prop man Parker, transitive property for the math heads, and a little prop betting here in a little bit that we'll get to. I'm going Seahawks as well. I think their defense is rolling. I think Geno Smith's going to have a good game. Texans at Jaguars. Houston is favored by 3.5. Trevor Lawrence is adamant he's going to be back, but he is officially questionable with that shoulder. And Houston is going to be without safety Jalen Petrie in this one. Austin, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm going Texans here. I'm expecting the Texans to put up a big number offensively, and I just don't think the Jags can keep up.
Parker.
Dude, I'm so far behind in the picks. It's like I'm trying to find any reason that I can take the Jags just to get a game back on you guys. And I just can't. I think I'm gonna have to take the Texans as well. I expect them to put up a big number. So, and I don't think the Jags are capable of even putting up a big number next to theirs. So I'm gonna take the Texans.
Ben.
I'm in the same boat. I can't find a reason to pick Jacksonville. They're a really bad football team. They're just really bad. There's no other way to put it. They're just a bad team. And unimpressive Houston comes in here and collects the win.
Yeah, I think this will be a defensive win game for Houston, even if the offense does get going. Mac Jones or a beat up Trevor Lawrence. Give me the Texans. We have our first four horsemen pick, so we have pretty good odds there. Go ahead, put money on the Texans. Next up, we have Cardinals at Vikings. The Vikings are favored by 3. Minnesota is once again without tight end Josh Oliver, and Cam Robinson, left tackle, is also questionable for this one now. Austin, what do you got?
I'm considering going back to the curse,
Yep.
the
Yep.
reverse
Yep. Don't.
curse,
Yep.
but
Yep.
you're so close on my heels right now, and I'm close to Ben, so I just gotta take the team that I actually like to win here. I'm taking the Vikings.
Ben.
I like Minnesota as well. I am looking for Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing to come up with something to produce some points this week. They've got enough tools to do it, but still, give me the Vikings. They're the better team.
Parker.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings as well. They're just the better team. The Cardinals look a little lost. Look like they found something now. Their offense is back to putting up nothing, and I think the Vikings defense is just not a good team to go up against whenever you're trying to bounce back on your offense. So, give me Minnesota at home.
Exactly what Parker said. This is not the get right week for your offense. Going with Minnesota for me here as well. Titans at Commanders, rounding out the early slate. The Commanders are favored by 6. Washington is going to be without both Austin Eckler and Andrew Wiley due to concussions. Marshawn Lattimore is not expected to make his debut this week either. And Tennessee's Tyjae Spears is also dealing with a concussion. He's listed as questionable. Ben, what are you thinking about for this one?
Razor thin margin here. I'm going to pick the Commanders, but only by a hair. Look at Tennessee having won 2 out of 4 weeks. The other 2 games were competitive. At least 3 of those matchups were against good football teams. I mean, Will Levis thrown for 250 yards in a couple of those games. Tennessee's got a real chance to win this game against the Commanders team that's starting to pull back a little bit, but still at home. I'll pick the Commanders.
Austin.
I'm going Titans here. I mean, Jaden Daniels does not look like the Jaden Daniels we saw for the first, half of the season plus. Really, since that Steelers matchup, he can't seem to quite get it going. And his weakness, funnily enough, except for the Cowboys, which he did all right against the Cowboys, but his weakness is good defenses, and that's kind of funny to say because obviously but that some guys don't have that problem, and he just doesn't show up against good defenses. And the Titans are a very good defense, so I'm looking the Titans to shut this Commanders offensive down, especially without Eckler.
Parker.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Commanders in this one, man. I think this is actually a good spot for Jaden Daniels to bounce back a little bit. They're missing a running back. Let him throw the ball a little more. Let him get comfortable going into these last 5 weeks because they have a good chance to make a little push and win a few extra games to make into the playoff picture. So I'm going to take the Commanders to win this one.
I'm a little worried about that defensive line for Tennessee versus the Commanders' offensive line, but I am hoping and thinking that the Commanders are going to go back to simplifying things back to early and make it one quick read and then just let Daniels run around in this one. So I'm going Commanders. as well. Let's get into the afternoon slate here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the Carolina Panthers. Tampa Bay is also favored by 6, but they'll be without Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Tyke Smith, and Jordan Whitehead on defense. Left tackle Tristan Wirfs is questionable in this one. And for Carolina, wide receiver Jalen Coker and tight end Jatavian Sanders are both out. Parker, what do you have in Bucks Panthers?
Yeah, big Bucks guy here, man. Tampa Bay is just the better team. I know the Panthers played a really tight game with the Chiefs last week, but like I feel like that was all the gas in the tank. Um, I don't see Bryce Young really improving or playing better than he would have last week. So I'm gonna take Tampa Bay.
Austin.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay too. Pretty much copy paste from Parker.
Ben.
It's like Tennessee. Look at Carolina playing better all of a sudden. They've won 2 out of 4 games, competitive 4 weeks in a row. Bryce Young having 2 or 3 really good performances. Having said that, Carolina's going to be outgunned a little bit here. So a really tight game. I expect a tight one, but Baker Mayfield is going to go all over that Panthers defense, which still hasn't really gotten any better.
Yeah, give me the Bucks in this one as well. Bryce Young is having a nice little rejuvenation, but a couple weapons down. Todd Bowles, I know the Bucks defense is banged up and not what it has been, but I think he's still going to put a good game plan together against Bryce Young in this offense. So give me the Bucks too. There's another sweep for us. Rams at Saints. The Rams are favored by 2.5. LA's Alaric Jackson is questionable. Their O-line's been banged up all season. And for the Saints, Eric McCoy, the center, is questionable after aggravating his groin injury 2 weeks ago and missing all of practice this week. Parker, where are you thinking for Rams Saints?
All right. I'm gonna take the Saints here. I'm picking the home team. I think the Rams have struggled a little bit. I think the Saints have had their last 2 games they've looked a lot better. They beat the Falcons, they beat the Browns, and the 1 point loss to Carolina, I think, is long gone, and it's in the rearview mirror, and they can move forward. I see them getting a win here.
Ben.
Listen, the Rams have struggled, and the Saints have played better. But there's just no way I can pick Coach D Rizzi, the interim, over Sean McVay, and that really is what it comes down to for me. Plus, Simon, you mentioned the Saints center Eric McCoy is doubtful or out for this game, and so without him, the Saints just aren't the same.
Austin.
Yeah, I agree with Ben's logic on there, especially with on the coaching side. I think you're gonna see McVay out coach, an interim. I think that's some people don't give enough credit to good coaching, and I think you're gonna kind of get a good look at what a really good coach can do for you in this matchup. Because I think on paper, these teams are fairly equal, but I see the Rams taking this one big time.
For the last 3 weeks, really going back 4 weeks to that Seattle game, the Rams have been in some weird games, but those have been against tough opponents: the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Seahawks. Dolphins team at that point had Tua back. The close game against the Patriots, Drake May's been hot, but the Rams are they're just better than the Saints on both sides of the ball this year. The coaching mismatch, I think this is a get right game for them. I'm going with the Rams as well. Sunday Night Football. If anyone's on Twitter, there's a blizzard in Buffalo right now. That place is just caked with snow at the moment. But the 49ers are visiting Buffalo, and Buffalo is favored by 6. Brock Purdy looks to be back for San Francisco, but Trent Williams and Nick Bosa are not. They're both out, as well as Diamador Lenore and Aaron Banks. For Buffalo, they'll be without tight end Dalton Kincaid, but they did activate linebacker Matt Milano from IR on Saturday. So big news there for this game. Ben, where are you leaning on Sunday night?
I'm big on the Bills here. To me, this is the bully beatdown of the week. Now, that blizzard conditions, as much as Buffalo would like that, they might actually make it a little bit closer because it's going to slow all the scoring down for both sides. But, man, you've got a 49ers team here that hasn't looked good all year, no matter who's on the field or who's not on the field, versus a Buffalo team that's looked great on the field all year. So someone's got to yank the Bills off of here as far as I'm concerned.
Austin.
I was looking every reason to go 49ers, especially with all the injuries on the Bills side. But I mean, then you just look at the 49ers side and it doesn't look any better, worse, actually, I think. And then the weather is just kind of the last sprinkle on top for me to pick the Bills.
Parker.
So you're asking the 49ers to fly all the way across the country coming off of 2 losses, to go play in Buffalo against possibly the best team in the AFC in several feet of snow. Like it just doesn't add up whatsoever. I'm going to take Buffalo every day of the week here. They're just playing good football, and the Niners are not.
Yeah, you think Josh Allen is losing a game at home on primetime in the snow right after getting engaged? Not going to happen, baby. Not just not. There's zero chance. Give me Buffalo. Monday Night Football, last game for us to discuss. Browns at Broncos. Denver is favored by 6. No Cedric Tillman or Juan Thornhill for Cleveland, and Riley Moss is out for Denver as well. Ben, what do you got here?
I'm actually looking forward to this game. I think it should be a fairly interesting game.
It's so
Look for
good.
Winston to throw a couple of interceptions against this Broncos defense, but it may also throw for 250, 300 yards too. So I like this as a close game, but given the Broncos, they've obviously just been playing better.
Austin.
Yeah, I'm going Broncos. I have a little app I like to look at that gives some like metrics and insights comparing teams' offenses and defenses and things like that, and it spits out a final number of reasons to like. And I don't know if I've ever seen a team with 75 reasons to like before, and that's what it's showing for the
Wow.
Broncos. Um, yeah, I just compared 19 reasons to like the Browns. So I just think that that kind of explains everything. I don't really think I have anything else to say besides that. I'm taking the Broncos.
Parker.
So there are 20 reasons for me to take the Browns. The 19 that Austin have found, and the fact that I am behind in the pick'ems. So I have got to like flip the script eventually in this season. So I'm going to take the Browns to upset the Broncos. I wanted to take the Broncos, but dude, I'm down like 10 games. I got to do something. So I'm going to give it a shot and roll the dice here on Monday night.
You hear that, Stefanski? But Parker's got to make up in this pick'em race, so you got to get your stuff together. I'm going Broncos as well because I'm not losing in the pick'ems. Let's head
Well,
over to
I
our
mean,
bets.
you're
I'm
bottom
losing.
half.
I'm losing to somebody, but that's fine. It's all right. Let's get into our bets here for the week. Austin, what's your first bet?
All right, my first bet, and I like this one a lot. I thought about going more, but I'm going with a pretty conservative number, 23 and a half over for the Texans offense. As we talked about, you know, Jags probably not going to do too much defensively against this Texans offense. They just got to put up 24. I got pretty good odds on that, minus 120. So I'm going to put 15 goats on that.
I like that one. Despite all of the issues for the Texans, I mean, they're still, put up 27, 34 the last 2 weeks, 23 against Detroit a couple weeks ago. They're still putting up numbers, even if it's ugly. Ben, what's your first bet?
I mentioned I thought the Bills would be the bully beatdown over the 49ers, so I went with an alternate line. I'm going to go with the spread of 10 here, which is a lot, but I'll take it. I can get plus 148 on that. I'm only going to put 5 goats on it, so not a huge deal here, but if I hit it, it's okay. So Bills to win by 10.
Your alternate lines have done well the last couple of weeks. That's a good one. Parker, what do you got here?
Alrighty, I have a four-legger. My parlay of the week. It is all upsets. I am going to take all 4 of these teams to win straight up. I have the Falcons against the Chargers. I have the Eagles against the Ravens, the Patriots against the Colts, and the Saints against the Rams. I'm putting 5 goats on that to make 108 goats.
Can you tell us the odds exactly?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going. I'll put it in the doc later.
All
We
right,
can move
thanks.
on.
All right. I am going with a two-legger here. I'm just going Bills at Chargers, both to win plus 158. I'm putting 5 on that. I should let's just go ahead and take this point to say I'm in the lead with the bets here. I've got 114.53 goats. Let me make sure I give everybody credit for their decimals this time around. Ben is in second at 96.64 goats. Parker is in third, 89.98. And Austin is in fourth with an asterisk. He's missed a couple times. He's got 75. I'm a little nervous. He's got the eye of the tiger going right now. Parker or Austin, speaking of which, what's your next bet?
Here, it's a three-player combo reception yards. I've got to get 250 reception yards out of these 3 guys. I got Calvin Ridley, who I said I like the Titans this week. I got Michael Pittman, and I've got Puka Nacua. So I just need those 3 to combine for 250. The odds plus 250. I'm going to put 7.5 goats on that.
He's gonna hit this before the Rams play, isn't he? He's gonna,
Yes.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. That's a fun one. I really like that. All right, Ben, what do you got?
Baker Mayfield may not pass for 300 yards against the Panthers defense, but he's got a chance at it. And if he hits it, I'm going to win too, because that's what I'll be betting on. It's plus 425 odds. So if he does hit it, it'll be a big hit for me. I'm only going to put 5 goats worth on it, but that would be over 20 points for me. So Baker Mayfield plus 300 passing yards.
That's a fun one. That Carolina defense still letting stuff go. Kansas City, was able to get kind of back on their horse offensively against them. So that's a good one. Parker, what's your last bet here?
Okay, I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna take the Browns on Monday night to win. Plus 210. I'm putting 15 goats on it to win 31 and a half goats. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a
I
go.
like it. Put your money where your mouth is. That's a good one. All right, I'm going with the oldie but a goodie here. Frankie Louvu over 0.25 sacks here for the Commanders. Commanders playing the Titans. Will Levis sacked, I think, fourth or fifth highest rate in the league. The Frankie Louvu is the second best sack getter, more consistent than Dante Fowler for the Commanders as well. I'm getting plus odds on that, plus 105, and I'm throwing another five on that one. All right. And that'll do it for the Box Score Network NFL preview show for week 13. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you follow on Twitter at B Score Network and check out all of the pods audio versions with all of these guys here every single week for more NFL coverage. Thank you so much. Enjoy the games and the rest of your holiday weekend. We'll talk to you soon.